Everything you've ever heard about the Oregon coast is completely wrong.
In this video, we're going to talk about some of the biggest myths that we hear when we talk to people who are relocating to the Oregon coast. And stay tuned because the last one may surprise you.
It's Seth, Marchant, and Clem here with the Home Team Brokers. Today we are in Depot Bay. If you're new to this channel, living on the Oregon coast, we show you what it's like to eat, sleep, play, work, all the pros and cons, and today we're going to talk about the myths of living on the Oregon coast. Hit the subscribe button, tap the bell, make sure you get notified each time we drop one of these videos. We get people reaching out to us all the time that want to move along the Oregon coast, and we always love to hear from you. So if you're one of those people, give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email, or click the link below in the description if you'd like to schedule a Zoom. All right, let's talk about some myths. What's first on the list?
All right, so first on the list, something we hear a lot is people who are moving to the Oregon coast, they think that all of the towns up and down the Oregon coast are right on the ocean or right on the beach, and that's just not true. You got towns that are at the mouth of a river. You got towns like where we are today in Depot Bay that are right on a bay. There's actually no beaches, although we are right on the ocean. And you have towns that are offset, from the beaches, from the ocean, a few miles, because Highway 101 that goes up and down the Oregon coast does veer away from the coastline a little bit at times, where you have towns like Tillamook, for example.
Yeah. So, and this is, we hear this a lot more from people coming from out of state, people that have either never been here or only been here a few times. And a lot of people that are coming here, are doing so because they want that sort of coastal feel. They want to see the beach, they want to see the ocean. And sometimes it's a surprise for people, just maybe based on what they read online or maybe just glancing at a map, that some of these towns, especially some of the bigger towns like in Astoria or a Coos Bay, you could live in Astoria or a Coos Bay and never really see the ocean or never really see any sand or the beach. You're going to have to drive 5, 10, 15 minutes west to actually get to the ocean. You're only going to see like the river, like when you're in Astoria, you really only kind of see the Columbia River. Maybe some spots up on the hill are far enough to see back out to the ocean, but you don't quite exactly have that beach town feel, which is what a lot of people are looking for. They are looking for that sort of beachy beach town feel. And when you're kind of set inland at the mouth of a river instead of like right on the coast, which maybe it's like 50-50 or something like that. Half the towns are on the coast, half the towns are kind of set inland. Some people are fine with being a little bit ways away from the water. A lot of people want to be able to see the water just being out and about, or throughout their daily activities or whatever it may be. So that's kind of one kind of misconception, is that not all towns are actually right on the coast.
Yeah, and again, you could be set on the mouth of a river, for example. There are some ocean lakes, where you have lakefront properties and bays all up and down the Oregon coast. So a lot of places where you could land, you very well could be very close to water and have water views, but it just might not be the ocean. So, something that we hear a lot, one of the biggest things that comes up when we meet new people who are relocating to the Oregon coast is, they got to have that ocean view. They want to be right on the beach. And, again, not all these towns are really situated like that. And even the ones that are, even the towns that do have some neighborhoods or, some, blocks of homes that are, right up on the beach, right near the ocean, it can be hard to find. So, yeah, it's not something where you're going to be right on the beach necessarily, but you're always going to be close to the beach. You're always going to be close to the ocean, super accessible, regardless of where you ended up. Next on the list,
not all towns are as big as we find out that some people think. Whether it's an Oregonian that's never explored parts of the coast like the Southern Oregon or the Central Oregon coast or something like that, or somebody coming from out of town. One thing we kind of find is people tend to see that a lot of these towns along the Oregon coast can be very small. We're talking like 300, 400, 500 people. So if you're somebody that's thinking about moving to the Oregon coast, a town being that small, if you're used to like big shopping, like having a Costco nearby or something like that, that's really going to come into play as far as the lifestyle and the amenities. So that's one thing that's a myth, is that not all the towns are big towns. There's a lot of really, really small towns, and that's something that people don't really kind of realize until they come here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people do come to the area. A lot of people move to the Oregon coast, because there are, small, quiet, relaxing, laid-back towns, and there's a lot of them. So you have a lot of options, and you can get a lot of the same qualities, in some of these different towns. But on the other hand, we've talked to a lot of people who are moving from like Southern California, very densely populated areas, Denver, Colorado, for example, and, anywhere you would end up on the Oregon coast, it's going to be a little bit of a lifestyle change. Again, that might be something that you're looking for, or something that you're welcoming, and it's something that's bringing you here. But there is going to be an adjustment. This is small town living for sure.
Yeah, we've got a couple of big towns, handful of towns that are over 10,000 or right around 10,000 people, and you'll find some of the bigger town amenities, but a lot of small towns.
Yeah, Coos Bay, North Bend, about 25,000 people, maybe 30,000 people in the general area. But, going down the coast, you kind of have these anchor points that are larger communities like Astoria, Seaside, Lincoln City, Newport, Florence, and then into Coos Bay, and then down into Brookings. That pretty much covers, the whole 363 miles. And in between those bigger towns, that are around 10,000 people, you have small villages of, hundreds of people, maybe 1,500 people, up to a couple thousand people. So again, pretty small, pretty remote.
Yeah, and some people are looking for that, and some people come here and they're like, well, I need this or that, and it's just too small. I need to get closer to, a bigger town that's going to have certain amenities.
Yep. There's definitely sacrifices there.
Next on the list, I think one thing, and this probably applies maybe more so to people coming from out of the state that really aren't familiar with the Oregon coast, is some of the things they're reading online, crime and homelessness. One thing that we find when talking to people is they tend to, I guess the myth is that the crime and homelessness is higher than it actually is, based on what you might read online. When you come here, you don't really see it. You don't really see too much homelessness. You don't really see any in some parts. And same with the crime. And I think it's probably all relative. Some people are probably coming from some higher crime areas. So to them, when they read online high crime and they come here, they kind of equate it with what they're used to, and they kind of come here and they find out, well, it's really not as high as what I'm used to. So I think that the crime and homelessness, it's a little bit of a myth, maybe more so online, that it's higher than it actually is.
Yeah, we do get that feedback a lot from people who end up, moving here, from different areas around the country, or around Oregon. And, you do some research, you see people talking about a lot of homeless people, a lot of crime. And, the feedback that we get is, it's not nearly as bad as, maybe it was made out to be. And, hey, these things exist anywhere, anywhere you would live, small town, big town, anywhere in between. So, of course, there's always going to be the risk of cars getting broken into or what have you, and you might see a homeless person from time to time, but it's probably a lot of what you see in different forums online or different articles around these things probably are coming from people who have lived here for a long time, locals, giving that perspective where, maybe if it's gotten 5% worse over a period of time, of course they're going to notice that. But again, it's all relative. So, I think in general, the Oregon coast is, a super safe place to live.
Yeah, definitely. And some of the higher crime stuff that maybe you do read online too, it's not like violent crime or gun violence or anything like that either. It's usually, petty crime. Not to minimize that either. Not that people don't care about that either. But the crime that is here, it's usually kind of small stuff.
Yeah, drug use, homelessness, crimes of desperation, where people are maybe, breaking into people's cars because they need money, things like that. I think that's a lot of what you hear about. And of course, in smaller communities, smaller towns, that's going to be, a lot more accentuated. That's going to feel a lot closer to home because these are smaller, tight-knit communities, and the people who live here, care about the people who are here, and they're worried about those things. So when there's an issue that's going to get called out, I don't want to say it's exaggerated by any means, But at the same time, again, is it something that you need to be concerned about that's going to affect you in your day-to-day life? Regardless of where you move on the Oregon coast, probably not.
Yeah. All right. Next on our list, how about affordability?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a myth that the Oregon coast tends to be more affordable than where somebody might be moving from. And the Oregon coast, overall is definitely less expensive, if you look at like housing costs and cost of living than, a metro area like Portland, for example. But yeah, I mean,
not by too much these days, though, huh?
Yeah,
it seems like
not by too much. Yeah,
the margin is smaller,
right,
than it seems like it used to be. So I think even from people coming from out of state, there's maybe a perception that Oregon isn't a super expensive state, and within Oregon, the Oregon coast is one of the less expensive areas, which it is less expensive than, like Paul said, like Portland, and also probably Central Oregon is going to be more expensive than the Oregon coast, but it's still more expensive than the average state, and it still ranks in the upper percentile of more expensive places to live in the United States. So it's not exactly cheap on the Oregon coast, and us as Oregonians, I think it felt like it was a little less expensive growing up. I don't know if it's just inflation or housing prices or whatever, but it really feels like the Oregon coast is like kind of catching up to Portland lately.
Yeah, I mean, housing costs have increased, everywhere in the country, and the Oregon coast is probably, kind of in the upper tier of, the growth and home value. And
then with that goes everything else. It used to feel like food at the Oregon coast was a little less expensive than, stuff's more expensive like in Portland, in the largest metro area in the state of Oregon, but it feels like the coast has really kind of caught up, and I don't know if that's because you're getting more restaurants here on the Oregon coast that's kind of spilling over from Portland, and more people opening up Portland style restaurants here, or if it's inflation, or just more people coming here and this being a more popular place. Whatever all those driving factors are, it's definitely not super affordable here.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing to that point, tourism is really big on the Oregon coast, and so there's going to be a lot of businesses, shopping, restaurants, so all of that in terms of like cost of goods and food costs is going to be reflected in the pricing, which tends to be a little bit higher because you get people out here on vacation. They're going to spend a little bit more, to go out to dinner, to buy groceries, to do all the things that you can do in these towns. And for sure that gets passed along to the people who are living here full time or spending, spending time in these areas.
Yeah. All right, so last thing sort of just piggybacks on top of those things, which is housing. And there's a kind of a misconception that there's a fair amount of housing available on the coast, and there's some places where there's like literally only a couple houses on the market. Inventory is low throughout the country, no exception in Oregon. It's lower in Oregon on average than throughout the average in the country, but the Oregon coast is no exception to that. There's some places where it's going to be pretty tough to find the exact type of home, and it will just kind of depend too. Some people are shopping more for a particular area, and they just want to be in a particular area on the Oregon coast, and some people are shopping more for a property. And whether it be a property with ocean views or a certain type of lot that they're looking for, and then it kind of doesn't really matter where it is on the Oregon coast, they're just looking for that certain property. But whatever it may be, the home search is very difficult for people on the Oregon coast right now because inventory is so exceptionally low. And again, I say that with inventory being low everywhere, it's even lower in a lot of places on the Oregon coast.
Yeah, I mean, everybody who reaches out to us, seems to kind of think to some extent that it's maybe going to be a little bit easier than it is as far as, the available inventory and the amount of properties that they can kind of look at and choose from. And, depending on what you're looking for, obviously, like we talked about, most people want to be, right on the beach, right on the ocean, have that ocean view or water view. And, because these towns are so small already, and because inventory is so low, we might plug in your criteria, see what's out there, and yeah, there might be 4, 5, 6 properties that meet that criteria across
Whole coast.
across several different towns.
Yeah.
So it can be a little bit of an uphill battle because of those market conditions, but that's not to say that we won't be able to find you something, because we always do. But at the same time, we do have to go into this understanding that, hey, look, we may want to tweak the search criteria a little bit. Where could we maybe sacrifice something, to make sure that you get those must-haves, or just know that it's going to be super competitive. A lot of houses that are desirable, especially houses that have this ocean view, this water view. There's going to be a lot of other people who are interested in it too, and so we need to go into it, understanding what the is going to make an offer get accepted, and that's where we come in.
Yeah. If you're thinking about buying or selling, or just any questions at all, you can always give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email, give us a thumbs up if this video helped you. Questions, you can always comment below too. Respond to questions in the comments, and make sure to subscribe so you continue to get these videos.
Yep. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.
Take care, everyone.
See ya.